All right. So we're starting off reclined over something under the bra strap. And it's great. You guys have a combination. Some people are using a block. Some people are using a rolled up blanket. What we would like is for you to end up in a position such that your head is connecting with the floor or something else underneath it in a way that feels really comfortable. So when you scan your neck, there's no sense of holding or constriction, certainly no compression in your vertebrae. So then please begin to roll the head side to side. When we talk about trying to reset our nervous system, the vagus nerve is a big part of what we're talking about, and it really gets impacted by the spine and spinal alignment and so on. So I'm inviting you right now to just notice, what is in there as you roll the head side to side, how free, how constricted, where perhaps are those lines of tension. And then I'm going to invite you to scan your face, your tongue, your jaw. What's the level of tension there? And by the way, if at any point being in this reclined supported position with the bra strap support builds tension, you can just feel it's not right anymore, it's not restful, come off by rolling a little to the side so you're not lifting your head directly up. And you'll just be able to continue with all the same awarenesses that I'm offering. So I'm going to have you contract your face, like you're squinching your eyebrows down towards your nose and you're pursing up your lips, like, as if you were angry. Yeah, and then I'm going to have you go the other way and just smile and kind of open your jaw, almost like you're about to go, wow, wee. And I'm going to have you do that a couple of times, squinching and opening. And at some point, settling into a soft countenance, the light connection at the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth, behind the front teeth. The rest of the jaw and cheeks soft, maybe a soft smile. This is a beautiful moment to express your gratitude to self for this amazing, resilient, and strong and beautiful body, your own good heart, your will that got you here today, your tapas or resolve. We're going to turn our gaze up and in towards the third eye. And I invite you to explore adding ujjayi breath. So if this is new to you, sometimes it's a little awkward or tension building, but in the long run, it's an amazing tool. So you contract your throat just a little bit, like you're about to clear it or fog a mirror. Mouth is closed, and that little valve of the throat creates a kind of whooshing sound with the breath. Continuing with that attention to breath, we're going to add a little movement. We're going to take one arm at a time up to the ceiling and then reach behind. Palm is facing the center line of the body or the mat, so thumb is facing down. And as you reach back behind you, there is no intention to try and reach the floor. You're trying to reach the wall. So check if you kind of bend your elbow and instead get longer, longer, longer. And then pulse that arm away from the ear and in towards the ear. You could even roll the head away from the arm. Until you're ready to explore the other side. I'm hearing some lovely ujjayi, by the way. And again, if you find that tension building or challenging, you can let it go. But I love the kind of cleansing wind. I picture it clearing the surface of my mind. So if your brain has felt pretty cluttered, you might enjoy that image. Your breath is that breeze across the surface of the pond of your mind, the lake of your mind, clearing any detritus on over to the shore. Then I'm going to invite you to come off your object of support by rolling to one side. Remove anything you can that then allows you to just be completely flat on the mat. If you need to bend your knees because your low back suffers when they're straight, obviously do so. But one of the primary things we've achieved here by having our head on the floor is spine neutral. It's a chance to decompress the spine. Again, great benefits to the nervous system. I'm going to have you do a little pulsing here. So I'm going to ask you to reach your chin up and back, reaching as far away from your chest as you can. And then bring your chin in towards your throat and elongating through the neck. So you're trying to reach your crown of your head towards the wall behind you. Go ahead, please do that a couple of times. This can be lovely for reducing spinal tension, but also pumping spinal fluid. You know, think about how much better your car runs, you know, when everything's all oiled up. Yeah. Then we're going to take our hands behind our head. We're going to do a little vagus nerve reset. You're going to intertwine your fingers so that they're nice and tightly laced. And you're going to tuck your hands under your skull so that when you return to the floor, your knuckles are firmly connecting with the mat and your head is firmly feeling the palms. The vagus nerve is in charge of, it affects everything from sleep to digestion. It's just profound. So it's kind of fun to feel that there's a way to just give it a little reboot. So you're going to have your eyes open to the ceiling and then slowly take your eyes to the right, as far as you can look right, and hold there for about 30 seconds. Ideally, in that time, we might find ourselves naturally swallowing, yawning, or sighing. I find the sigh is often a kind of like a little sipping in. Don't feel that you need to produce any of those. And if you don't experience that in the 30 seconds, you could choose to hold a little longer. If you've had those experiences, one or any of them, now let your eyes come back to center and then take your eyes all the way to the left. About 10 more seconds. Again, don't feel that you need to produce anything. We're currently observing and we'll just see what the body does. And so now, if you've had those experiences or you just are done, you can bring those eyes back to center. You might close them a moment. You might swallow. And then we're going to intentionally architect 3 sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide through the nose. Beautiful reset for the amygdala, the alarm center of our brain. I invite you to just simply scan and notice if in fact you feel any different than when you walked in the door or first laid down. We're going to continue with some wonderful internal work. We're going to use abdominal pumping as our next renovation tool. So engaging in a beautiful long inhale, exhaling, emptying the breath, holding out and beginning. Draw your belly in, like you're saying, see how skinny I am, and then push it out into a big Buddha belly and continue until you need to breathe. We'll do a few rounds. If you're finding this difficult, that communication to the belly, getting it to draw in and push out, use your hands as a reference point, right? So again, you're holding all the breath out, you're not breathing, but then you're kind of sucking your belly in away from your hands and then pushing it out into your hands. And you can change your pacing speed or slow it. I really feel like this is such an amazing massage for our internal world, you know, that we can sense, but we can't touch, right? You can't massage back in there on the inside of the spine or the diaphragm itself, but you just did with these wonderful abdominal pumpings. Next, please guide the right knee into your belly, release wind pose. Hands are clasped around the knee joint. The left leg is extending, heel flexed, and both heels are flexed, and you're kind of thinking, I wish I could get them farther away from one another. So you're being very active. And then I'm going to invite you to take your knee and your head in opposite directions. And the knee is just a small movement. Exactly. So take your knee out to the right and your face to the left a little bit. And then cross the knee a little left and take the neck right. And do that a few times. And I'm going to invite you to plant your left foot on the floor, cross the right ankle there for reclined pigeon. So we're going to do these in kind of a nice little order, and we'll do the other side next. Hugging the right knee as tightly to the chest as possible, sending it a little towards the center line until we find something interesting. Sometimes I'll have both hands on my knees. Sometimes I'll take the left hand, in this case, on the foot. And sometimes I can just get that better edge. You know, we are seeking intensity, folks. Not pain, but intensity. Something we can send our breath into and feel evolution, much like a deep massage. Nice. Releasing that left foot to the floor again. Take the right leg to the ceiling, heel flexed. Inhale, slow, deep, and wide. Exhale, power down through your low back until you've got complete contact. And then slowly take your leg down like you're trying to paint the wall in front of you with your heel. Keep your back rooted as long as you can. And then relaxing, and you can relax both legs into corpse pose, whatever feels good. Next, we'll guide the left knee in for release wind pose. No wings, no shrugs, meaning my elbows are coming in, my shoulder heads are down. And again, we're gonna play here. I've got my right foot flexed as well, by the way, and that right thigh anchoring. And I'm gonna take my knee a little left and my head a little right. And then my knee a little right and my head a little left. Or maybe a lot. I mean, you might really enjoy exploring what is your full range of head motion here. And then I'm going to plant my right foot, get a hold of my left foot to cross onto the right thigh. So we're coming into reclined pigeon here. Hug that left knee as tightly to the chest as possible, sending it towards the center line. And again, finding all your own little subtle versions of this until you are just loving this massage you've set up for yourself. With breath. Yoga is so powerful in part because it gives us a chance to notice our habits. And so if you're somebody who here on the yoga mat, kind of your breath gets shallow or you're holding your breath, you probably do that a ton in life off the mat. Let's plant that right foot on the floor like you would for bridge. We're going to send the left leg straight to the sky. And sometimes I'll play and kind of pulse it a couple of times, bending and straightening, inviting my hamstrings to release a little. And then exhaling, rooting that low back and slowly descending. So we often do this particular leg release with the other leg straight on the floor. I'm hoping some of you get to maybe experience it this way and go, wow, you know, my body likes that better, right? Maybe it makes it easier for you to keep your back rooted. We're going to do another little round of just the leg releases. So I'm going to take the right leg to the sky. Your choice to keep that left foot flat like you just did, or have the leg extended on the floor. Or if you like more core work here, Bring both legs straight up together, squeezing the thighs together. Exhale, everybody, you're rooting your low back. You're staying soft in the neck as you descend the leg or legs, painting that front wall with a beautiful slow stripe. And when you reach the floor, giving into gravity. Again, one of the great challenges for a lot of humans is if they're always engaged in doing, it can be really hard to soften or let go of that. So we get to practice that here. All right, again, either left leg now or both legs. So whatever you're wanting to do, whatever level. Inhaling, exhaling and rooting, and slowly descending. Maybe adding a soft smile, staying soft in the neck. What a beautiful retraining if you're a chronic shrugger. And melting. Okay, we're going to come on up to a seated spinal twist. If you know that you don't dig it, it doesn't work for you, and you want to stay down and do it on your back, you certainly can. But we're going to be doing a very classic seated spinal twist. If sitting upright, just with your legs straight forward, is hard, if you're kind of, curled back, you might want to tuck just like a folded blanket or something under your butt. I want you to feel that you're not, building a bunch of tension. We want to be absolutely straight spine when we're doing spinal twist. So I'm going to bring my left foot up and on the inside of my right knee. I'm going to take my right hand to my left knee, and I'm going to plant my left hand, so I'm kind of supported here. I have kind of short arms, so I tend to be like on my fingertips or something. So if I go onto my palm, I collapse. So again, whatever you need to do to keep that beautiful long spine. And a note in this position, but also a number of them that we're going to do when we get into flow. Watch yourself. When you try to think long spine, do you tend to reach through the chin? If so, catch yourself, bring it kind of down and in until you feel like a little double chin. Okay, beautiful. Inhaling, root and rise, push your right heel forward and imagine that you're trying to push a clutch on in a car. I know you don't do it with the right foot, but just imagine, right? Take another long inhale. On your exhale, think about drawing your belly to your spine, like you're bringing a rag progressively up the spine, begin to rotate to the left. On the inhale, let that belly take up some space and bring you a little back towards center. Yeah, so you get plenty of breath. Exhaling, rotating again, ring the rag. We'll do that a couple more times. Notice if you feel like you're kind of cranking your neck, don't take your head far. Think about rotating the shoulder girdle. And then at the end, we'll add the head. One more. Add the head if you'd like, and the eyes all the way to the left of the eye sockets. If you feel good here, release your hand up off the floor, like you're presenting a platter behind you, palm to the sky. And then slowly return. I'm going to bring my left elbow inside of that knee, and I'm going to give myself a little counter twist, right hand behind me. So just a nice kind of support to rotate the other way. Good, and then you can release those legs. People do these differently. I'm kind of giving you more of an entry level. So now when we take the right foot flat inside the left knee, some people would cross that over to get just even a deeper twist. What I find is the majority of humans do not need that deep of a twist. What we need is a little less of a twist so we can actually breathe there, right? So I'm going to take my right hand behind, shoulders anchoring, left hand onto the knee. One way you could deepen once you're there would be to hook the elbow, but I would start with the hand and see where you get on your first twist. Heel flexed, push your clutch in. Exhaling, rotate, belly to spine. Again, I hope you can feel that progressive ringing of the rag up the torso. Inhale, let it have some space. Curious about the breath. Is there more? Exhaling, rotating. And being really lovely and kind to your neck. Don't take it anywhere that it kind of suffers. You guys look great. Nice ujjayi. And let's do one more. And this time taking the head all the way to the right, unless your neck doesn't like it. Eyes all the way to the right. And perhaps releasing the palm from the floor like you're presenting a platter. Again, if that adds a bunch of neck tension, make a change. And then we're gonna come on back. We'll take that elbow inside the knee and just support a twist the other direction. Nice work, folks. We're gonna come right from here onto hands and knees, table pose, intelligent hands. Inhaling, cow, tailbone tilts back, heart draws forward. Exhaling, cat, tuck the tailbone and explore. I know you've done this pose hundreds of times, thousands maybe. Can you find an extra little space to stretch? Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. Maybe your subtle nuance is that you're able to let your head go in a way that you didn't used to. Maybe you let your cheeks get heavy when your head is hanging down. The next time you're exhaling cat back, see if it would feel natural to take those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Sometimes once you're doing that, you're like, oh, I need to walk those feet further back. We'd like to bend the knees and liberate the spine. So I'm hoping you're rooting through intelligent hands, fingers spread wide. Yeah, you guys look good, letting the head go a little with gravity. Pedaling, pressing one heel towards the floor and then the other. Oh, beautiful work. Your body thanks you. This inversion is amazing for us. We're going to come down onto our knees as you're ready. Release. Then I'm going to ask you to let your hips settle while you draw the heart forward. This is knee down, upward facing dog. Exhaling, press back, child's pose. And we're going to come in and out of these positions. So I'm going to inhale and come forward, kind of using a little cat back, but then letting the beautiful heart draw forward, broadening. Exhaling, pressing back. One more. Pumping breath, we pump stagnant energy. And we'll return to our table pose. We're going to do a little pumping in and out of thread the needle. If your wrists get a little fatigued, you don't roll them out, love them up. You can also go on to fists in many of these poses. We're going to inhale and sweep open through that right arm, following it with the vision if your neck doesn't mind. Exhaling, threading that needle, bringing that right hand behind the left and settling on the right shoulder. And then in and out. So you're getting some marvelous, again, spinal twisting, which helps massage those internal organs. Love it. And when you're ready, you'll just settle on that right shoulder. And people, so many different ways to do this, really. You could just leave that left hand right in front of your face and use that to press into a deeper twist. You could also clasp your wrist and draw it away from you. So I'm leaving my left hand on my right wrist. Sometimes people bring the left arm forward beyond their head. That one has never done much for me. Sometimes people will bring the arm behind in a partial bind. So you actually bring the back of your hand onto your low back and kind of open that way. On an exhale, return to your table pose. Inhaling cat. Exhaling cat. Make it organic. Any little add-ons that you crave. Listen to your body. Inhaling, sweep open with the left arm. Exhaling down and through. We'll do that again a few times. Is this side different? Are you noticing any restrictions that maybe weren't on the other side, or maybe you have more freedom? As you breathe here, think about bringing breath way into that upper back, like you're kind of blossoming your wings of your shoulder blades. And on a nice, powerful exhale, coming on out to your cat back. One more cow, cat to downward facing dog. So I'm gonna ask you to find all that powerful support in your core body. Make sure your feet are only a few inches apart, and if this is too much, please do this in table pose instead. Take the right leg flying, heel flexed like you want to walk on the wall behind you. Beautiful. Slowly release, switch, extend the other leg. Again, in table, you'll get a lot of beautiful effort as well in this. And release. We're coming all the way to our bellies. If you're ready for a little plank to chaturanga, go for it. I always do chaturanga on my knees for the first time in the day. So inhaling, I come to my knee down plank, bend those elbows and lower on down. You got it. Roll out those wrists and then please intertwine them behind you in yoga mudra. So we're with our palms facing each other. Intertwining the fingers, or perhaps using a strap or a scarf, because we would love to get those arms straight. Then make sure you're tucking the pelvis, pump the hands up off the body and return. Sometimes people like going a little side to side. That can be amazing. And if you breathe into that, it can be quite lovely. You can get some lovely stretching into those ribs. And in your own time, release, relax, either settling on the belly, or if your low back is ever feeling a little tweaky, child's pose is marvelous. Take a big belly breath, let it expand into your low back. Yeah, maybe you want to bend the knees and kind of windshield wiper the low leg. We're going to come into quadricep stretch here. So bringing your right forearm in front. Make sure you stay anchored through the pelvis as you slowly reach back for your left ankle. And then I'm just going to resettle my forehead on the forearm as I breathe and really tune in to that left quad. And some of you might even feel it in the hip flexor. If you're pretty limber and you're not getting that stretch, if you think about raising the knee a little off the floor, that might do it for you. And as you're ready, release. I find that sometimes a counter stretch here feels great. So curl your toes under and just bring your knee off the floor, almost like you were going into plank briefly. Yeah. Then bring that left forearm in front. Slow, reach for that right ankle, settling the forehead. The more you engage the glutes down, the deeper this stretch will be. And if you can't reach to the ankle, you can always use a strap. I know some people grab their leg. I've seen that work really well too. Is this side different? And again, stay as long as you need to, as it feels yummy, right? Don't let that good massage end. And then come on out, flex that foot under. And here we're actually coming into forearm plank. So you're going to bring both forearms in under you. I like to make a fist and then kind of wrap my other hand around the fist. That's my preferred way. But up to you. Shoulder head slide down, because we're going to move into this very powerful pose from place of peace. Soft tongue, maybe a soft smile. Raise the hips off the floor in your forearm plank. If you would like, you can then come onto the feet and raise the legs. Totally up to you. Again, I am seeking a place of breath, of curiosity, of some heat building. So you will notice in this pose, we cannot get breath as deeply as we would if we're just relaxed. But you should be able to bring that breath maybe into the ribs a little more, find a new spot. Yeah, and then when you're complete, come on out, and we're gonna go into our flight with our arms out in a T pose. Palms are active, fingers actively reaching for the walls. As you're ready, bring those arms up off the floor, always anchoring through the pelvic triangle. And as you're here, I invite you to breathe and explore. Maybe you kind of return to the floor. Maybe you extend again with this time the head and chest coming a little off the floor. Then I'm gonna invite you to come directly into forearm plank again. So bring those forearms underneath you, shoulder heads down, and come into your version. Let's hang out here for maybe half a dozen breaths. If it feels right in your body, you could add a little more intensity, raising one foot off the floor at a time. Slowly, so you get to notice, like if your whole hip drops. We don't want that. You guys look good. I don't see any swagging bodies. You're nice and neutral and solid, neutral head alignment. Yeah. And you might want to relax the head to one side. Once again, you might windshield wiper the legs. Just notice what's there. How are you guys doing? Good. Good. Kind of relaxed and powerful at the same time, maybe? Maybe mostly? All right, just checking. I love it. We're going to be returning to downward facing dog, and we're going to do a little flow that involves lunging and bringing a foot forward, and then opening into a twist and some other things. If any part of it at some point isn't working, do the parts that you love and just skip the other parts, right? So as you're ready, coming into your downward facing dog. Got a nice core support here. Slowly take that right leg flying. Some people I know like opening the hip, so you would just rotate open through the hip joint. And then slowly neutral and bring that right foot forward and to the outside of the mat. So we're not trying to bring it straight forward of where it was, we're bringing it to the outside of the mat. Then inhale, rotate open through that right arm like you're pushing the ceiling away. Good. Exhaling, return. We're going to do that one more time, just opening, push the ceiling away. Exhaling, return, and you're just going to walk your feet into a straddle. You'll be at a funny angle on your mat, but don't worry about it. So you're just turning your feet so you're in a straddle. You got it. And fold. You can play with both bent leg and straight leg and go side to side. Our body really appreciates these lateral motions and twists and things. If you think about it, we barely do all day long, right? So I'm going to invite you to rotate towards your left or back foot. So you're going to be facing the back of the room, those of you who are here. And the best of your ability, lift that left foot gracefully to step back, downward facing dog. Find perhaps a sighing or settling breath. And slowly take that left leg flying. Bending the knee if you like that part, opening that hip, keep pressing your chest towards the right knee. Slowly bring that foot forward to the outside. And inhaling, rotate open through that left arm, pushing the ceiling away. If it bothers your neck, you can just stay looking at the floor. So we're rotating to the left, make sure you're in a twist. Opening one more time. And then turn your feet so you're in a straddle and fold. Again, you can go side to side in your straddle. One of my favorite things is to actually, excuse me, drop my butt towards one heel and extend the other leg. I just find that's a really great stretch. I never know what to call it. It's kind of a runner stretch, but there are other runner stretches too. Marvelous. And we're going to rotate one more time, plant the hands front of the mat, step back, downward facing dog. And I'm inviting you in dog series. Cow-cat would be another good spinal pumping, or you might want a resting pose. Inhaling forward to your plank. If you want to check if you're in your core, try hopping your feet off the floor. Yeah. Exhaling, chaturanga, nice slow, low push-up. Or maybe it's a fast descent down with gravity. Inhaling cobra, nice long spine. Exhaling, press back either child's pose or if you prefer downward facing dog. I know some people feel restful in downward facing dog, believe it or not. But I want you to definitely be somewhere where you can rest, settle, tune into your breath again. We're going to be returning to one more flow. It does still involve our hands. If you want to skip that, because we're gonna be coming in out of we're gonna come into a lunge and be coming up into our warrior one or our crescent lunge, and then back to downward dog leg flying. If you're like, I cannot handle one more downward facing dog tonight, then I would just love to recommend that you just step in and out of your crescent lunge with arms. And we're gonna be repeating it on the same side a few times, okay? So as you're ready, downward facing dog or front of the mat mountain pose. The fun part to me of this flow is it's a really great chance to practice with your core, getting it to be the driver and the breath. Inhaling, take the right leg flying. Exhaling, belly to spine or knee into the chest. As you bring that foot forward, you've got the rest of that breath to get settled. And then inhaling, rise up. Maybe lifting up through the heart. Balance challenge. Exhaling, downward facing dog, right leg flying. We'll do that 2 more times on that side. So nice inhale here. If you want to open the hip up, you can. Exhaling, neutral the hip, bring the foot forward, steering those hips. Inhaling, rising. And you can bend that back knee. It does not have to be straight. Exhaling, step back, right leg flying. Inhaling, opening. Last time. Use that ujjayi, use your breath. Scan for a beautiful soft face, downward facing dog, and your choice to either rest, hold, or flow. Meaning, maybe you go to child's pose, maybe you hold downward facing dog, maybe you're doing another down dog series, it's your own kind. Nice job doing some of the standing work, you guys. It's just that same, really challenging yourself to move in and out of the lunge from that abdominal body versus using the legs to kind of heave yourself. So folks, we're going to do this series again from downward facing dog. We'll do the left leg. And I'm hoping you're getting that vibe that I'm talking about, like where, you know, we're not just heaving the leg forward, we're rounding and preparing to get the leg into place, right? And if you can't get it far enough forward, you just grab it with your hand. I will show that this time for anyone who's curious. As you're ready, downward facing dog, left leg flying. Standing folks, you're just going to do that other leg in and out of your lunge. Inhaling, opening that hip. Exhaling, planting the foot. Grab it if you need to get it forward. Inhaling on up. And I like adding the looking up for the balance challenge, but you don't have to. Try to lift that foot rather than drag it. Inhaling and opening, keep sending your torso towards the thigh, your knee higher. Then neutral, bring that foot forward. You know the deal. This is your own little dance, so if you have add or delete things, awesome. Last time. When we get a little fatigued, we tend to stop using the core, which is tragic because that's actually what we're supposed to rely on. Core and breath. So make sure you lift that foot rather than drag it best you can. Whew. All right, folks, we're gonna all meet standing. So I'm gonna walk my hands back to ragdoll and give those hamstrings a beautiful stretch before I root and rise. Our hands. Tune into your own good heart, your temperature. Yeah, I got a little warm in here this evening, didn't I? All beautiful rosy cheeks. That's all right, it's good. Part of the reason we breathe through our nose in yoga is that it's said that by retaining that heat, you know, versus opening our mouth like a panting dog or a runner's mouth, that heat is what will burn through stagnation in our body. So it's said to help burn through disease and illness and so on. I find it's good for mood. You know, like I actually don't like being hot, so I have to challenge myself to find a little bit of a peace about it. It's good. We're going to come into tree pose, and tree pose, I think one of the great challenges, like any balance pose, is that we'll have a tendency to tighten and do funky things, hold our breath, etc. when we're wobbling. So if balancing is easy for you, I'm going to ask you to make it a little bit harder so that you get to have that challenge dynamic, right? So you can always close your eyes. starting with your big toes touching. See if you can spread the other toes out. And then squeeze those inner thighs together like you're forging a beautiful tree trunk. And I'm hoping right there, if you choose to kind of, intentionally kind of wobble a little, you can almost feel like your feet are glued to the earth and your thighs are conjoined. So it feels really good. You may start in prayer hands if you'd like. We'll take the right foot into kickstand. As you do that, think about trying to get that right knee as far out to the right as possible. You're kind of externally rotating the thighs. Got it. And then if you like, you could bring the foot up to the calf. If you're doing that, try to flare your toes. So you're actually spreading your toes away from the ball of the foot. So the heel and the ball of the foot are on the leg, but not the toes. All right, let's add arms or tree branches. Tongue is lightly connected, roof of the mouth, ujjayi breath, eyes are soft, the base of the skull is soft. Yeah, you guys look great. And if you're not wobbling at all, or you just want more of a challenge, close those eyes. You can also intentionally move your tree limbs like you're in a great wind like we have here today. Breathing inside of all of the instability and the movement until you feel ready to settle and explore the other side. So like I said, what we do on the yoga mat is often just a reveal of who we are off the mat. And so notice if you have a lot of internal chatter, it's self-perfection or criticism or what have you, don't criticize yourself for that. Just notice that you have that and notice, you might be kind of hard on yourself in daily life. And this is a great chance to notice that and decide if maybe a little more self-compassion would be a lovely shift. Find your tree. You're just enough wobble or falling out and coming in to challenge your breath. We'd love the breath to be a slow, steady wave regardless of what's happening. As you're ready, return out. Inhaling, root and rise, big glute squeeze. Exhaling, fold, swan dive, let that head hang. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Exhaling, tuck the tailbone to sit to chair. Now you can hang out here and just breathe and enjoy the edge, the intensity you're creating in your thighs. You could also add a little balance challenge coming onto the balls of the feet. And as you're ready, root and rise, release. Nice glute squeeze, also squeeze the thigh muscles towards the bone and exhaling prayer hands. We're going to do one more balancing posture that I think can be really fun. It also could be hard on your body if you've got like a knee challenge or something. It's kind of a standing version of pigeon pose, okay? And I think I'll just show you briefly so you're not trying to look at me while you're in the pose. The very shallow version of the pose, if you will, is this, that I bring my leg into my hands like we did in pigeon on our back, and then I bend my standing leg, and you have to figure out how you want to cross, because like I don't like it when my ankle bone is on my thigh muscle. And you can just hang out here. You can also begin to sit deeper and to fold. There's a version of this pose that I'm sorry I cannot show you because I'm not flexible enough to do it, but there's a version of this pose where you actually tuck the foot up into here and you forward fold over it. It's a concept. But what I find is, I did this with people in our classes yesterday, and people are like, oh, I didn't get as good of a stretch as I do when I do reclined pigeon. And I think that may be true, period. And it's also might be the issue that in this position, because we're trying to hold our balance, it's hard for us to create an edge and then breathe into it. And it's the breath that creates the stretch, right? So if you are able to fold a little bit and kind of take your chest towards your foot and you take a big inhale, you may very well feel it deep into that hip. If you don't need your hands on the leg, you could have your hands at prayer hands, thumbs right at the chest. So we'll do both sides. Go ahead. Always have your crossing ankle be flexed. That just stabilizes your knee joint.
Okay, so we're supposed to fold?
Well, you're kind of, I'm folding progressively my chest towards my shin or calf in order to create the stretch in the hip. So it's kind of just to whatever level you want. Yeah, there are other versions too where people like hook their foot and you could also do this holding on to an object of support if the balance part is just making it not feel like you can enjoy it or settle into it enough. Well, usually it would be back into here. That's where I feel it anyway. Is kind of, again, you know, pigeon overall is supposed to kind of get into the piriformis muscle there in the back. And again, part of what I love about this version is we get to notice, am I holding my breath in order to hold my balance? Which is kind of tragic because it doesn't really work that way, but I think we tend to. As you're looking good, I like that you're playing with this. Yeah, I love this. Some other people are finding alternates, that's great. When you come out, we're gonna just do some standing hip pumping. And so we're gonna take our feet a little wide. We're going to sit back into an imaginary low chair, however low you're willing to go. And then we're gonna press up and we're gonna pull back with the arms. So I'm gonna inhale and squat back and down, and exhale, big glute squeeze. When I'm pulling back, I really want to end with thinking about that shoulder blade sandwich, right? So I'm not pulling the arms back so much as I'm squeezing the shoulder blades together. So over the next few, go slow enough to really notice when you're coming up out of your squat, however low it is, you should be feeling these low glute muscles working. If you're not, it may be that you've got your butt out behind you in an arch. We need to be in spine neutral using those low abdominal muscles to have the pelvis be at the right angle where our glute is getting the work. We want it to be like our powerful elevator. Neck is soft, just a few more. I'm going to invite us in an arm position called eagle arms. It's a wonderful shoulder stretch, but more importantly, it can get you some pretty awesome stuff like yoga mudra does around the shoulder blades. But if you feel you either can't get into the position that I'm going to describe, which inevitably we all will not, then you're just going to do standing thread the needle. Okay, so it's a standing version of that thing we started with when you were coming through. So this will give you a different stretch than the first time around when we did it on our hands and knees. You just bring one arm across, you take the other hand at the elbow, and you press firmly towards the chest. And then you think about breathing deeply here. If you're doing eagle arms with me, you're going to take one arm out in front. We'll do both, so it doesn't matter. You try to get the other arm crossed as high up above the elbow as you can. So I sometimes kind of fling it. And then you're going to rotate around and see if you can get the palms to face each other. I know, it's kind of a adult twister situation. Yeah, and it might be that they'll face each other, but that you can't like hook them in. You're close. Yeah, so you can kind of mess with that if that doesn't hurt your thumb. Then raise your elbows slowly. This is all really slow, you guys. Just like yoga mudra, because we have so many delicate connections up there. You're gonna raise those elbows and sink them, okay? And then when you are complete, we'll unwind and we'll do the other way. Breathing and noticing, neck soft, taking breath deep into your upper back. And releasing. So, I'm going to give you an option to put a couple of things together, which I always think is fun, okay? And again, you found now hopefully what works for you. Maybe you can sit into this pose with or without any kind of fold, but you can balance there and you like that challenge. If you do not, just keep your feet on the floor. What's that? Oh, I think you said butt or something. Was it you? Oh, you were laughing. Oh, I knew I heard something. I was like, did I imagine? You might, instead of just standing, if you're only doing the arms, go into a little bit of squat like I just did. It feels, I think, kind of fabulous. So we're gonna be doing legs and arms, but it's opposites, all right? So for the legs, take the right ankle onto the left thigh, foot flexed, because that stabilizes the knee. Take the left arm up over the right arm, or if you're just doing thread the needle with left arm across the front, okay? And hold and notice and explore. You could fold. Usually we settle in a drishti gaze, which is like a soft kind of daydream focus of the eyes, kind of past the hands. And then whenever you're ready, come on out. Excellent. We'll cross left ankle onto right thigh. This time we'll go right arm over left, or if you're just doing thread the needle, right arm across. Light connection to the tongue. Maybe folding. Breathing deeply into that upper back until you are ready to come out and fly. And now please notice anything your body needs. A little forward fold, some straddle, maybe you're hungry for one more flow, I don't know. We are going to close with an expression of bridge posture and then coming down onto the block under the sacral triangle, or whatever object you choose to use. So after you've attended to whatever inspirations your body's sending you, please come on down to the floor. Plant the feet flat underneath the knees. Work those shoulder heads in towards the spine before raising the hips, squeezing your imaginary blocks between the thighs. If you're feeling any neck pressure, bring the chin up and back. You might add yoga mudra, intertwining the fingers. Once I do that, I find that I can walk my shoulders even more under me and down. You're going to then press your fists towards the heels. So your palms are facing each other, by the way, when you're intertwining. There you go. And you don't have to add that arm position, obviously. Breathe, raise the ribs higher up off the arms. And I hope then as you breathe, you feel a stretch up into the chest, the ribs. In your own time, come on out. You can just settle right onto the block if you want to, or come out. You can bring knees to belly again. Sometimes the body really speaks to you and craves counter stretches. A reminder about the block under the sacral triangle. There are two distinct positions we can be in here. One is with the knees bent, feet flat, and that is a marvelous tractioning opportunity for the low back. The other option is with the legs extended, and that's a beautiful opening for the front body. If it doesn't feel great, sometimes it's that the object of support isn't quite in the right position and you might need to play with it. When the block is never in the low back or that curve, it's always at that bony place right at the top of the butt. And I don't hold this pose for more than maybe a half dozen breaths in each position. I've had people think, oh, I could just stay here for 10 minutes. I don't recommend it. And the body almost always craves neutral. And if you stay out of neutral for too long, it creates its own stress and suffering on the body. So once you're complete, ask yourself, what would be a deeply restful shape this evening? Would you like to go and take your legs up the wall, for example? So the body's in an L and you get all that wonderful inversion benefit of the blood flowing back out of the feet and so on. Maybe you wanna just be in a simple child's pose or on your side, embryo pose, back body, front body. Yeah, the bolsters offer some wonderful nourishment and support in Shavasana. We're going to enter with some breath attention. I'm going to ask you to choose from either box breath or breath blocks. If you don't like either of those, you find them stressful, then you can just watch the breath rise and settle. But otherwise, box breath is that inhale and hold in, exhale and hold out. And it's each one of those is like the side of a box, try to make them equal length. Simple breath blocks are just holding out and then holding in. When we're doing any kind of breath block, particularly the longer holds, one of the great challenges that it offers is that we become presented with tension or intensity. And we get to notice what is our response to that. Can I soften around it? Can I hold the lock a little longer, welcome the intensity? And then of course, when you need to breathe, breathe. If anyone has any questions about this, please speak up. We'll be in breath attention for just a couple more minutes, at which time I'll chime the bowl and you're welcome to continue with breath attention as kind of your own meditation this evening, or you can let it go as you invite your body and being to settle into a yogic sleep. Become lightly aware of my voice, inviting you to come into a scan of your body, guiding your attention from head to feet, inquiring within, how's it going, body? Are there any messages from the body about how to create more wholeness and more ease in your systems. You've completed your scan, inviting you to bring your palms together and create a brisk rub to create some heat. So then I'm going to direct that energy in towards our own body, and then I'll invite you in some specific points of self-massage. So you might take the hands and completely make contact with the body or the face, or they might settle maybe in that 6 to 10 inches off the surface where your energy body is. And as you feel inspired, affirming wholeness, affirming goodness, affirming peace, whatever other words or intentions might bubble up that feel poignant at this time. During this time, you might even feel a little bit of vibration or humming in your hands. We can then take those hands of loving touch to the scalp, the base of the skull, circling with the thumbs, the temples, along the jaw and ear line. And one of my favorites is the eyebrows. And I will sometimes pinch my eyebrow between my thumb and my index finger and then kind of roll it. And I'm always shocked how much tension is in there. These are all wonderful ways that we can kind of dust ourselves off of stagnant chi or energy, tensions and stresses, and help our system settle into a place of bliss, response, rest, and digest. I invite you to reflect briefly over our practice tonight and consider if there was anything that just felt really interesting or useful. Maybe it was that initial vagus nerve reset. Maybe it was the sighing breath. Maybe it was being really physically active and having to breathe through that felt really useful. Thank you all so much for getting to the mat tonight. Your beautiful focus is really inspiring. I hope to see you again soon. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. You feel great in your body and have a great rest of your week and weekend. See you soon.